Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going over the first company that has a lot of nuances, one with a CEO you either love or hate, and the pioneer of the electric car movement, the one and only Tesla. No, not that one. Yeah, that one. Tesla, just like its charismatic CEO, is definitely not normal. Because of that, it's going to require a different method to determine the potential of the company. The typical approach won't work for a number of reasons. The business is exponentially growing in an industry that is being reinvented from the ground up, facing economic and supply chain headwinds, with the financial metrics of a startup, industry-leading technology, along with the momentum and engineering prowess that competitors will struggle to catch back up with, a valuation 2 to 3 times its nearest competitor, while only producing 1/10 of the cars per year. So can this company even be analyzed? Or is doing such merely speculative guesswork? It is true that comparing Tesla in the same way you determine the value of Apple or Costco would be essentially useless, but we can use some standard methods as a starting point and go from there. Tesla, as we all know, is an electric automotive company that also dabbles in solar, grid energy storage, and soon to be entering the trucking industry. They pioneered the battery electric vehicle back when most of the world was debating whether climate change required human effort to fix. The Model S and X were the first battery electric cars engineered from the ground up and proved electric vehicles could actually be awesome. No longer did electric cars look like golf carts with doors. Now you could reduce your carbon emissions, beat supercars in a drag race with a 4-door sedan, and have a quiet commuter that was comfortable to drive. The only problem was the sticker price of nearly $100,000. Fast forward to today, and Tesla has spent an entire decade without prioritizing the production of cars. And that may sound odd at first, but it's true that Tesla has not been trying to make as many cars as it could. If that was their goal, they would have bought a bunch of off-the-shelf batteries from Panasonic and LG, and then shoved them into a small Prius-like vehicle and then boom. But they knew that would have been short-sighted. Instead, an entire new industry and supply chain had to be built from the ground up. Tesla has prioritized the rapid engineering and development of key technologies that would allow them to scale battery and car production beyond what the rest of the car industry is currently capable of. What Tesla has spent 10 years doing is ensuring that they can scale faster than anyone else once they're ready. With the vertical integration of nearly all core technologies and manufacturing processes, Tesla has 2 remaining bottlenecks that need to be worked out. The most important being the material supply chain, with rumors of them entering the material refining and processing space, allowing them to directly negotiate with mining companies under more favorable conditions. The second being reducing production machinery and manufacturing complexity through their implementation of gigacastings. This vertical integration allows Tesla to manage battery cell production, assembly line efficiency, and soon to be material processing all in-house. Not only reducing costs, but more importantly eliminating the competition for components and materials that the other automakers are now facing. Tesla is a battery manufacturer that will soon be leveraging that to make as many vehicles as possible. The battery is the heart and lungs of an electric vehicle. The automaker that leads in battery design and production will lead the automotive industry by default. Every other automaker is buying their batteries off the shelf, bootstrapping them together, and assembling the car as they always have. The disparity between them will grow as the EV industry does. We won't be looking at too many financial metrics for Tesla because quarterly reports are designed to evaluate established companies with a useful historical comparison. This just means that quarterly reports are bad at evaluating emerging companies beyond growth rate and solvency. Tesla's revenue has a phenomenal growth rate. Over the last 5 years, they went from $11.7 billion in revenue to $53.8 billion in 2021. This is an average growth rate of 53% for the last 5 years, with last year alone achieving a 71% growth rate. So Tesla has a very healthy growth rate. Their revenue is fine and growing rapidly, maybe even deserving of that $550 billion market valuation. And while normally net profits are used for this metric, we unfortunately can't use that as Tesla reinvests all of its money right now. So Tesla's valuation is about 11 times their revenue as of right now. But with revenue growing an average of 53% year over year, that figure doesn't seem too unreasonable. Another interesting figure I would like to pull out that isn't in the normal quarterly report is that in Q3 2022, Tesla made $21.4 billion in revenue. and they sold 343,800 vehicles. And by doing some quick math, you can get a unit revenue generation of about $62,390 per car, which to most is not a surprise as Tesla has always had expensive vehicles. And this figure will come down over the next few years as Tesla makes more affordable vehicles. However, it is hard to say how much profit they make on each vehicle. That being said, based on their cost of revenue, it seems that Tesla's profit margin is currently around 25%. Now, if you compare that to Apple or Google or Microsoft, that is a pretty low number, as they range anywhere from 40 to 60%. That being said, for an automaker, 25% margin isn't that bad. And that's during a phase of rapid expansion, and their economies of scale are just now getting rolling. And when it comes to Tesla's solvency, despite the early years of Tesla being quite difficult financially, the company has a much stronger footing today, with $20 billion in cash and cash equivalents, and only $5 billion in long-term debt as of last quarter. On top of all this, you have Tesla's ability to raise money like no other. And now that Tesla can actually use its own cash flows to finance its activities, this means the company is safe from insolvency. And unfortunately, those are about the only financial metrics we can pull from Tesla. There are a few other numbers that can give you some extra lights here and there, but unfortunately, quarterly reports do not reflect a growing business like this very well. Not to mention, Tesla is anywhere from 10 to 15 years from reaching maturity. The transition to EV will be a long and painful one. It's nothing like quick phone sales or subscription services. The automotive market is massive, with about 80 to 90 million units being sold each year, most of which being passenger cars. Toyota, for example, produces about 10 million cars per year. To get an understanding of where Tesla currently ranks, 2022 will be the first year Tesla tops 1 million cars produced. Clearly, they have a large market to grow into. Many critics have suggested that there is no possible way Tesla will be able to maintain their market share of the EV industry once Big Auto makes the switch. And they are correct. Tesla would obviously not maintain its dominance in terms of market share. That being said, they can go from one of the smallest automakers to the largest. Additionally, Tesla's vertical integration allows material processing, battery cell and pack production, and manufacturing integration, something no other automaker is currently capable of. And I want to emphasize how young the EV evolution is right now. It will most likely take until 2040 to see a true, complete change in the system. While I do think by 2030, the majority of new cars sold will be electric vehicles, it will probably not be until 2040 when the majority of cars on the road become electric, at least in developed countries. Currently, new electric vehicles only make up about 5% of all car sales. So despite Tesla being at this for over 10 years now, they still have a long room to run ahead of them. And that's not even to mention the solar, battery, grid energy, and the auto insurance they also dived into. One thing that can be said though is that Tesla is no longer alone in the EV game. All the major brands have started taking it seriously as of late, with two of the largest contenders right now being Volkswagen and General Motors. Toyota is surprisingly behind right now despite their lead in car sales. However, I do actually believe Toyota has the ability to catch up. At least to Volkswagen and General Motors, I mean. Every other car maker is scraping together what they can to get the battery cells needed to make electric vehicles. That being said, every car maker that jumps in and every car model that is designed is going to require battery cells. And the third-party producers of those battery cells include Panasonic and LG. Those companies are going to have a lot of pricing power against any automaker that hasn't designed their own batteries. This is what truly makes Tesla different. They focused on being a battery company before being a car company. As the material shortage gets worse, Tesla is the most prepared for this situation. Their vertical integration will allow them to control most of the entire process except for the mining. That eliminates numerous costs and markups along the way, and gives them greater negotiating power with mining operators. These are the things that separate Tesla from all the other automakers. So how does the economic tightening we're now facing affect not only Tesla but the entire auto industry? Let's start with the traditional auto industry. After the phenomenal year of markups during 2021, now every automaker is facing a recession. For one, the car makers fixed the supply issue thanks to the chip shortage. Now most of the auto dealer lots are full again, reducing their pricing power. On the other side of the equation, you have negative economic factors along with record high interest rates. Layoffs, unemployment, and a generally worsening economy generally leads to less large purchases like automotives. Alongside that, you have the increasing interest rates, which makes car loans more expensive and harder to get. This will have a great impact on the automakers for the next couple years. This will give them less free cash flow to invest in electric vehicles, something Tesla does not have to worry about. As of date, Tesla has still never had an issue with demand. Every car they have made has basically had a buyer. So while traditional automakers get a financial crunch while switching to EVs, Tesla will still be able to go full throttle as if nothing has ever happened. So how do you truly evaluate Tesla? It is the leader of electric vehicles by far. It is the most vertically integrated and innovative company out of all the electric vehicle manufacturers. It has a 10-year head start in the industry and a reputation for being at the cutting edge. If you take the largest car maker, Toyota, as Tesla's future ambitions, then Tesla has the ability to increase their units sold by 10 times, and that's if every car maker survives the transition to electric. To be honest, we will probably have fewer car companies that come out on the other side. Some old ones may fade away, and some new ones might rise to the challenge. But the auto industry is very resistant to newcomers. It has a lot of barriers to entry. So the fewer automakers that may actually survive the transition to electric vehicles, the remaining ones will almost have a greater market share by default. And Tesla is the most prepared to capture. So what do you all think of Tesla? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like the content we make, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep watching Interesting Investments.